Hello and welcome to our show.
There you go with your big bad self.
Good morning, guys. Good to
morning.
see you.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in this world.
Right.
Happy 4th of July. We're still celebrating.
We are still celebrating our patriotic t-shirts, red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue, America's favorite pastime. I got my Dodgers jersey on from the time that I sang the national anthem at the Dodger game.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was an honor. We're very excited about this new episode. Mylin, she has this amazing friend who has an amazing American dream story. Her name is Jasmine. She is also known as the eyebrow whisperer of Hollywood. Did you give her that name?
She is like the most amazing eyebrow person, and she works for Anastasia of Beverly Hills, you guys.
I am so excited to listen to Jasmine tell her story of her family's plight to leave North Korea into South Korea and then to America to live her American dream. I am jazzed.
Welcome.
Jasmine!
Welcome to our show. Woo! Happy 4th of July, you guys.
Yes, happy 4th.
We actually just wanted to continue to celebrate this week, and we really wanted to delve into her family's history about being from North Korea and how she went from there to America.
Well, hello, everybody. I am Jasmine, and my dad is from North Korea, and my mom is from South Korea. My dad is in his 80s, but he's pretty sharp. He's the second oldest of 7 kids. Okay.
Wow.
I'm asking him more questions day to day of just, well, what happened here? What happened there? And I'm like, why didn't I ask you when I was younger? But that's okay. So hey, better late than never, right?
Right.
He went from North to South Korea when he was about 16 years old. It was in the 50s, I believe. I said, well, why did you guys leave? Because there was war coming. His parents were like, we need to go down south to have a better life. My aunt, my dad's older sister, told me this before she passed away, is that we know your dad almost didn't make it to South Korea because back then they were picking out all the young men to be in the army in North Korea. They go through a few things of like, if this one's, good enough physically. And she was telling me that she was so freaked out and she didn't want him obviously to be recruited that she kind of made up a story with this one teacher about my dad. It was because of her that my dad didn't get recruited. So he was able to join the family to walk from north to south.
Wait, hold on. They walked?
Yeah. So they walked from North to South Korea. And my dad remembers it took about a month. It was treacherous. He was telling me little stories like, well, we would pass by a few soldiers going from the opposite, the North Korean soldiers.
Were there soldiers there?
Yeah. He says that, we were passing them by. We would stop obviously and camp out wherever we could, ration whatever we had to eat. He said that he would find random homes, like they would find these random homes that were abandoned and they would take shelter there. And some of those homes had like some, stuff to eat and they would put together whatever they can. And mind you, it was a lot of them, right? It was intense. And so I was like, okay, well, what crazy thing happened? There was one time where we were walking, there was a South Korean soldier and a North Korean soldier walking. One was escorting the other out, the North Korean with the South Korean soldier. As they were walking, not that far down, he knew that the South Korean soldier got killed because they heard the gunshot,
Oh my
and he knew
gosh.
automatically, like, oh yeah. So those are the things that he
Wow.
remembers, to this day.
I'm still back at the walking. So it's so fascinating. I'm imagining your dad's family, his extended family, and then these other strangers, like people that they didn't know,
Right,
just
right.
all like migrating to South
Yeah.
Korea.
By the
Wow.
way, my grandmother, my dad's mom, when she was also obviously walking with the family from north to south, she was pregnant with, I think they're 7th or 8th. She was pregnant, but lost the baby on obviously that walk when they got to
Wow.
where they need to get to. So there would have been more of them.
Oh my
Crazy, right?
gosh.
And then did your dad's family know other people in South Korea, or did
question.
did they have to just like start from
Literally, yeah, it was just starting from scratch. And so they did whatever they could. My dad met my mom in South Korea, and I was like, oh, were you guys arranged? Like, did someone just like tell you guys had to get married? And my mom's like, no, it wasn't that. Yeah. And then I asked my dad, did you love her? And he goes, of course I didn't love her. And I was like, what? My mom's like, we didn't love each other. I was like, what? He's like, oh,
Wait,
we liked each other, but we got married because we kind of had to. I was like, okay, but we loved each other later. I was like,
it is kind of like a typical, like what you hear about the Asian communities, right? Like that.
Oh, 100%.
They kind of had to just get together.
Yeah, for lack of a better word, not survival, but like to, keep moving on to your, like you grow your family. You just, that's the thing you do. It was about getting a job. I don't think the word career was it was something in the forefront of their mind.
That's so Americanized, right? Like
career right? As opposed to job.
Yeah. Like just to support your family.
Exactly. I don't remember my dad in Korea because I was in Korea for about up to maybe 5 years old. He already came to America by then. While it was my sisters and my mom. We have a pretty big extended family. Like I said, my dad, has 7 siblings, and my mom has a pretty good sizable family in Korea as well. So we had a big support system there. I mean, we grew up in like a village of Korea. Like our bathroom was the outhouse. I mean, that's how primitive it was. My dad says that they didn't, even his parents, I don't think realize a full degree the intensity of what was about to happen. And so again, it had to be a God thing because they were very devout believers, which is not common, especially now.
From North Korea.
Yeah, from North Korea. My dad's family
were believers.
Yeah, my mom and dad were definite believers, which strangely enough, and not strange, but they're deep believers from North Korea. But when my dad met my mom in South Korea, my mom wasn't really a believer per se, because my grandmother, my mom's mom, is a Buddhist, which is a very, I mean, in most Asian countries, is still the number one religion is being a Buddhist.
That is just mind-boggling. The fact that they come from North Korea, have a Christian faith, because we know now you are not to have any. You're not allowed in North Korea to have that at all. Your dad ends up in America
through the help of my aunt and my aunt's husband, who were living here in America at the time. He was working for Korean Airlines in Korea, and that's when they were going to grow the company, and they needed a branch in America, and that's where he transferred there. Hence the starting of how we were able to legally come to America.
And you come to America around 5.
Yes.
You probably spoke 0 English.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just obviously knew Korean, and coming here to America, well, it was just, I think, more of a challenge for my parents than us, because when you're that young, you're not affected that much. And if you're speaking Korean, you're speaking Korean, and then next thing you know, you're speaking English now, and you have no idea how that transition happened.
Right.
Yeah, you're just like mac and cheese.
Yeah. McDonald's. Yeah.
Right.
And then McDonald's, like we always wanted McDonald's because it had that, free gift inside,
the toy.
So yeah. So it was always about McDonald's.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
The Happy
That's,
Meals.
Yeah,
Happy
exactly.
Meals, that's what it was. I was like,
Across-
what was that? Was it Happy
Across
Meals?
the board, right? Everybody loves
Yeah.
their Happy Meals. Okay, so once you get to America, are you in California?
We ended up in Los Angeles, kind of east
Okay.
side of Los Angeles. Once we came here, my uncle came, my aunt, like it just became easier and easier for all of them to come.
Yes.
So once they all came with, and then their kids, and so I was blessed to grow up with the community of my cousins and aunts and uncles. In LA, I think we were the only Koreans in that area. The only other non-related Korean Asians I saw was when we went to church every Sunday. That's when I'm like, oh, other Koreans that are not related to me. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. But growing up in LA with being the minority, I have been like, I've gone through like the racial type of teasing to like, I've had all kinds of like made fun of jokes, but like, so it happens to all of us, but it makes you a better person, I think. So,
right. Well,
yeah.
so now with having been in California with all of this history, okay.
Yeah.
Miss Jasmine, I called you the Hollywood eyebrow whisperer. And we were just talking about, oh no, our eyebrows.
I know. I was like, oh, I better draw in my brows. The
Every time
expert is going to be on the camera with us.
That's what I always think. But you know what? Not one time in our friendship, we've known each other for over 20 years, has she ever been like, Mylin, you need to. I'm sure she's thinking it in her head.
That's another blessing. There's so many blessings, which I'll keep pointing out throughout this. But,
awesome.
When I'm off the clock, I really don't like go, okay, what is going on with that? But when people go, oh my God, you do eyebrows. And then they go, don't look at mine. I'm like, well, I wasn't, but I am now.
Are you called an esthetician? Like, what exactly are you? What is your name?
Yeah, only in the last, I'll just say only in the last few, like a decade, are eyebrow artist a thing now, because you knew makeup artists, you knew facialists, you knew hairdressers. These are all like beauty experts. But yes, to your point, so in order to properly and legally do eyebrows, you must have an esthetician license.
Okay. Now, tell us where you're at and who you're working for.
Yeah.
And let us know all that good stuff.
Oh my gosh. You're like skipping so much time. You from like 5 years old. I want to know Jasmine from 5 years old until, then her journey in LA.
I learned real quickly that I was pretty good at making people look pretty, but it was just some kind of hobby. And I think I was just like having fun making up my cousins, and it just came a little easy for me. So during school and almost graduating from high school, I was like, oh my God, I want to do hair. Like, I want to make people pretty. And from an Asian family, you're like, what? You're not going to be a doctor? You're not going to be a lawyer? Like, you're done, kind of thing. And I was like, oh no. So I went to beauty school with not any support from my parents. They love me, but they're like, yeah, okay. So when I went through beauty school, I thought I wanted to do hair. So I went to a hair school to get a cosmetology license. And through that course, they teach you how to do all this other stuff. And that's when I realized, oh, I'm good at this stuff too. And I like it. But as I was doing that and got my license, I went into a hair salon, figured out I cannot stand doing hair. What was I thinking? And so I just needed to start making money. And so forget career. My Korean came in and said, let's just get a job, pay the bills, make some money, and buy some stuff. So I said, that's the goal. So I went right into what I just knew how to do, which I actually knew how to do nails pretty well. So I was a manicurist at a hair salon. That's when I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be, I think like 18, 19, almost 20. I think it's time to look into getting legalized. I still had I had a legal residency in the country, but I wasn't an American citizen yet.
Yes.
So that's when I had to register, study the book, learn who the president is, all that other fun stuff, right? And so my appointment was set, and I was talking to a girl that I was doing nails for, and I was telling her what I was going to be doing. And she said, "Ooh, are you going to like add a middle name?" I'm like, "Middle name?" She goes, "Well, you know, Americans have middle names." So I was like, okay. I was like, well, I never liked Esther. So, but I'll keep Esther because that's my first name, Esther.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Can you see me as Esther? No. But I was like, what should I name my middle name? And so my client goes, "You should name it Jasmine." I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's something to think about. You know, when you turn in your green card, they give you that. Anyone that's done this know what I mean, is that you get that beautiful official American citizenship paper, and you sign in your name as the person saying, "This is going to be your name forever. This is it." So be very careful and I was like, okay. So that's when I added Jasmine as my middle name. That's kind of like how my life started. I just did like what you had to do to get a job, is going to a department store, started doing makeup there, didn't realize you could actually get paid to do makeup, you know? And so that's where the world of makeup was introduced. And I started going into like, okay, who's the best of the best? Like, because I felt like, you know, I'm pretty good at this. Why not even get better? So I wanted to go into the best place. And that's when MAC Cosmetics was a really big deal in the 90s.
You working for MAC.
In the 90s, it was like all about MAC Cosmetics, right? You know, the beautiful drag queen makeup, the big hair, thin eyebrows, which I still get scared when I see those old pictures. But I was fortunate enough, you know, blessed to work around amazing makeup artists from all around the world. I became a trainer for the company, so I represented them as teaching other people how to do makeup. And long story short, I met some people through MAC Cosmetics that introduced me to Anastasia Beverly Hills. And funny enough, I was like, okay, well, who is she? And people are like, you don't know who she is, but she wasn't really that famous back then, but she was getting up there.
Kind of up and coming.
Yeah. And my time in MAC was coming to a crossroad where I wasn't getting inspired as much. And I thought, oh, what else can I do? I met with Anastasia, and her and I hit it off right away. And she's Romanian. So, and me being Korean, we're very like, you know, in your face, talk like this. And there's no like beating on the bush. You know, you don't have to explain yourself. So she was like, okay, you start next week. Okay, you know, that's kind of like how it started, really. Our relationship started over 20 years ago in the salon, and now we're here. I mean, how many people in the world can say that they were learning from the best in the world? You know, not
Absolutely.
many. Yeah. Absolutely. So I was just like, how did I even get here? You know, it's like, so
right?
yeah.
American dream. It's amazing. God's blessing.
Oh, 100%. It's been a really fun journey because I'm thinking, okay, I'll do eyebrows, may get tired of it within a month or so. If I'm here for 6 months, wow. Because I'm like, what can you do about eyebrows? Like, how much more can you do? Like makeup, you can always do something exciting, fun, all kinds of stuff, right? Well, 20 years later, it is eyebrows for most of the ladies out there now, and men, would agree that it is probably the most challenging. Ladies, it takes longer to do your eyebrows than it does anything else. If you really want to like do your eyebrows, it's not as quick, right? So yeah, here I am still like very challenged, has a lot of fun doing eyebrows. And the before and afters in what you do for people in eyebrows is amazing. It's like life changing, and to some people, you know.
Deedee, I was telling you, you have to see her before and afters. Like, it's crazy, just people who have nothing, you know, to having a physical, beautiful eyebrow, you know, to having too much eyebrow, to shaping it perfectly. It's that's why I call her the eyebrow whisperer. Because she's the best.
I'm in this world, right, where you get the top models and celebrities coming into our salon, and especially in the early 2000s, it was just an everyday experience, right? Front desk girls that make the appointments will go, well, that's so-and-so, or that's so-and-so. I'm like, oh. And so, there was this one occasion which I thought was really funny. I was doing this girl's eyebrows. Next thing I know, I look up and all of these young people are looking at me, holding a pad, a paper one, and a pen on the other, and just like looking at me intensely and just dying. I'm going, all right, either I'm doing someone VIP or they can't wait to like ask me a question, which I seriously doubt it's about me. So I'm talking to her, doing her eyebrows. And I'm like, so where are you from? I'm from Texas. And I'm here to do I'm filming some show. I'm like, oh, that's great. And I was like, wow, you're so young and so successful. That's great. And she gets up to go to the restroom, right? And then the girls are stampeding, trying to follow her. Meanwhile, I go up to the front desk and I said, all right, clearly I just did someone's eyebrows. That's a big deal. Who is that? And then the girl goes, that's Selena Gomez. And I was like, oh, okay. I go and I said, who's Selena Gomez? And I was like, oh, great. Now I'm getting really old. Like that just did it for me. Okay. That's when I knew that I've gotten old. Prior to her, because I've done a lot of supermodels. You guys know the term supermodel. Nowadays, there isn't such a thing. But back then, every day there was like Naomi Campbell, Elle McPherson, Heidi Klum, they were all coming in, standing in front of me, waiting to get their brows done with Anastasia. And I'm just standing there going, okay, I know who these people are. But then later on, when these young people started coming in, I'm like, yeah, that's when I stopped recognizing who's who. But yeah, I mean, I've had the pleasure of doing like Oprah Winfrey's eyebrows quite a few times. That's amazing. Yeah, she's really cool, of course.
What's that like? I mean, you're literally up in their face. I mean, that is the most personal experience, that you could have. Do you feel like can you be real personal with them, or are you invading their private, or what does that feel like?
It depends who you ask, because some of the people I've worked with have done celebrities as well. My personality tends to be more like, okay, well, it's just Oprah, or it's just.
And it's true. That's how Jasmine is. She's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I rarely get starstruck, but I also know that if I'm going to do really good eyebrows, I can't act like I'm nervous. Because when you touch someone's face, it's very different from like handling someone's hair as opposed to touching a person's face. Because you can really feel either the person's nervous or they're in control. And if you do someone like her, like Oprah Winfrey, who, that can really be very intimidating, right? And that intimidation can get to you. So even though you might do an amazing eyebrow, you may not, because you get so intimidated. So I do this kind of like thing in my head, like, you know what? She's a person like anybody else, right? And so I did my thing, and she appreciated that. I'm not like, and so I did really good, I think, and she liked it, and that's all that mattered. And I was like, okay, thanks. It was very nice meeting you. I'm out of there, Rarely do I go, oh my God. So
yeah. Great that you have that like personality, because I'd probably be like, ooh.
Yeah. Me too. I think I would just, I don't even know. I wouldn't be able to speak. Do you have like a go-to like breath mint or something, or like?
Yeah, I don't breathe. Yeah.
Do you think about, here we are giving her like a complex.
No, clearly Jasmine has got it under control. I'm like, I don't know that I could do it, because I would just be like, oh my gosh.
Have you had any like stories shared with you that you're just like, I can't believe this person is sharing this information with me right now?
All the time. All the time. And I think, I mean, it's strange in one hand, because what I do, we don't spend a lot of time with the client. I mean, a brow session can be anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes. So in that time,
that's fast.
Sometimes you're getting like a crash story on like, need my eyebrows done because my husband just left me, or I'm like, okay, or I need to snap out of it because I lost my husband. There's some crazy stuff where I'm like, should I be knowing this? Should she be
Yeah.
telling me this? Like,
Yeah.
I am not licensed to hear all this stuff, you know? People always say like bartenders or hairdressers and now brow artists, you're like therapists in some way. You're doing their eyebrows and you want to give them a good service and you want them to come back. So you're not going to be like, girl, you crazy. Like, you know, only the ones that have done eyebrows for a while, I'll say, what are you thinking? You know?
Yeah.
The ones that have been my clients for 15 years or so, I'll be like, okay, you need to stop that. No, that's my advice for you. Okay. Yeah. I'm a lot cheaper than your therapist. Just remember that. Yeah.
So curious to know, have you been back to, do you still have family in Korea? Have you been back or do you go back often?
Good question. All my dad's side of the family, the North Koreans, are all here in the United States.
Wow.
And my mom's side of the family most of them are still in Korea and they don't feel the need to leave South Korea. One, they have a pretty good life there. It was way over 20 years ago when I went to South Korea with my parents and my older sister. And it was a pretty neat experience. We were trying to go last year, but for obvious reasons, we couldn't.
Yeah.
When I was there back then, it was kind of a culture shock for me because, you know, I'm more of like a Korean American. Nowadays, I like to say, you know, Christian Korean American, you know, in Korea, like a lot of them thought I was Japanese for one, which was funny. And and they knew right away that I was not from there. You know, we did go to a Korean bathhouse and clearly I was like, yeah, you know, I wonder if they're going to like look at me with like a deer in a headlight with my tan lines.
And all your tattoos.
And some tattoos. I didn't have a lot back then, maybe like one or two. And I was like, yeah, I think they could clearly see I'm not from there. But it was a culture shock for me, but it was a lot of fun. So I'm dying to go back and now explore all the beauty part of Korea, you know, because it's such a beauty capital of the world, really, with their skincare and their, you know, cosmetic, you know, therapy stuff that they've got. I mean, they've got it all. Yeah.
Well, and Miss Jasmine, now you are a newlywed.
I
am a newlywed.
Can you believe
I am a newlywed?
Yes. How's that? How's marriage to
you
Mr.
know,
Kidd?
Right? I am married to a rich kid.
Isn't that funny?
Actually, folks, his last name is Kidd. Not far from my previous maiden name, Kim, which was kind of funny in itself. So my initials and all my bedding did not have to change.
That's amazing.
I don't have initials on my bedding, but anyway. They're like, oh my God. It's been a crazy ride. It's interesting because not many people can say that they got married late in life. And so I get a few of my clients that are my age that are not married yet. And so now they feel, and they want to be married. And so they say that they love my story because they don't lose faith, you know? And so, I mean, God was like, okay, so you're going to be married way late in your life. And it's been amazing. It's a roller coaster ride, which all you married people know what I mean.
We know that.
And it's the one thing where, aside from your family, it exposes more of who you are. It's been a learning experience for me, for sure. Because I mean, a great friend told me that when I first got married, that's what she just, you know, drilled it in my head, is that just remember that the marriage is really so much about who you are, where you've been, and it exposes, not in a bad way, but it shows you who you truly are. Never mind about what your husband or you know, what you're doing or not doing for him. It's first just you got to recognize what God is showing you, who you are, and that's where the journey starts. So it's been up and down, but it's been very fun. But I don't typically recommend people to get married late in life like I have, because as we all know, we get set in our ways. We grow accustomed to doing things the way you want it, when you want it, how you want it, and not have to run it by someone else.
I know Jasmine, she's been very just faithful, and I've prayed for her. She's an amazing example for all you out there who are, you know, still
wondering,
to get married and wondering, right? It's possible. It is possible.
Yes,
absolutely. You're giving
and I
so
just
much
want to
hope.
I want to
Yeah.
quickly tie into what we said earlier, because I like that we're doing this on the heels of 4th of July. And the fact is that, you know, with my unique and fun story and crazy story with my dad's side of the family, this is so like, that's why I love to say that. I mean, I'm a Christian first, but I'm obviously Korean, but, you know, definitely proudly say America, because I mean, that's where all the opportunities happen, right? Not to say that it wouldn't happen in South Korea or anything, but I feel like the personality that I am, I feel like, you know, God has definitely continued to bless me in that this is also my home, because this has allowed me to be truly who I am. And I blessed with great parents that evolved and became more just parents, and not so like, you know, we're Koreans and we do this and this, that, and the other.
Right.
You know, they have definitely softened as well. And God has done that for them. This country has allowed me to do what I do without being, you know, without being shamed or whatnot. Because, you know, back in Korea, it could have been that way, you know. So I have more freedom here, you know. And so yeah, it's been great. I always tell all the people, especially all last week leading up to 4th of July, I would always tell all my clients, like, are you celebrating 4th of July? They're like, well, I'm like, you should. I'm like, why? I'm like, because you're an immigrant, you know? You know, it's one thing for, you know, American that's born and raised here, you know, celebrates, but I'm like, you know, you were born in Armenia or Romania or whatever. And you're able to be who you are now, like very successful here in America. Like that's 4th of July story right there. So I would always tell them, like, you got to celebrate 4th of July.
Amen, girl. You know, I'm an immigrant too. I was born in the Philippines.
Oh, right.
You know, I came over here at 2 years old, but I almost did not make it here to America. Yeah. And I'm sure my life would have been wonderful in the Philippines, but, you know, God had other plans. And I even wrote a song called American Girl, because I love this country. And, you know, it's not perfect, but that's because people aren't perfect, right? It's we're based on people, and people are human. So, but for most of it, I have had amazing opportunities here in America. And so I'm grateful to be here. And that's why we wanted to celebrate you and do this, because of just your amazing story. So Jasmine, this has been so much fun.
Yes.
Right? It has been so
inspiring and inspiring.
Totally.
Thank you.
So we you know, thank you for being willing to share and to tell your story. And we are so excited to get to share it with others. And please tell everybody where they can find you on social media and to be able to see and visit you.
Yes, if you're ever in Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, and wanting to get some life-changing brows, you need to come in. You need to come in and see me. And if you want to see all the before and afters and some videos, and I give a ton of tips on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, it's Jasmine Zarch, JasmineSarch. And you can find me on Instagram, and on the bio, it can also link you into YouTube and whatever else. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yay.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. And congratulations on your newlywedness.
Yes.
We wish you so much continued blessings in your life and your married life and your personal life. And thank you so much again for sharing your story.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the blessing.
Love you, Jazz. Mwah. I know.
What an amazing American dream story.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. There's just so much there that I'm still like, tell me more.
You guys, we hope that you have enjoyed Jasmine's story and just how fun she is and just all of the crazy stuff that she's been through, but blessed.
Amen.
We also wanted to remind you, she does these live IG TV stories where she actually shows how to fix your eyebrows, and she works on everybody's face. So there's, you know, different eyebrow shaping, and I'm sure that you'll get tons from it. So be sure to check that out. We hope you guys have enjoyed it, and we will see you soon.
Peace and love. Only love. And happy 4th of July still.
Woo-hoo!